Welcome back to Cottage Designs by Erin, where tonight on my design table, I am trying something new due to a huge error that I made. I thought I bought 10 yards of white broadcloth on eBay. It ended up being 10 yards of Pelion grid fabric that you use to make quilts, including watercolor quilts, tote bags, wall hangings, and it's fusible. And so what you do is you put the squares down that you have, you fuse them to the background, and then you sew it in rows going horizontal, clip the intersections, sew it in rows vertically, clip the intersections, and then it's ready to be quilted. I bought 10 yards by accident, and the seller would not allow me to return it. So since I had it, I decided I'd go ahead and start working with it. So I have this wonderful box, this old shoe box, full of 2-inch squares that I paid $1 for at a thrift shop. And so I'm pretending I'm putting together a puzzle, and I'm just laying it out as I go. Clearly, some of these need to be pressed down before I actually do fuse them on the background. Here is the lid to the shoe box. And I have a really interesting story to go with this. Years ago, I met an old woman who lived several towns over, and her name was Mrs. Kennedy. Mrs. Kennedy made quilts like crazy. She'd stay up all night. And I heard about her. I called her. She told me to come by, and she showed me all her rooms that she had quilts in. She had a big frame set up in her living room that she would hand quilt on. And on her back porch, she had shoe boxes full of little fabric pieces. Well, she passed away years ago, and I was in a thrift shop that was about maybe 15 or 20 minutes from her home, and I found these glorious shoe boxes of quilt pieces. Here's a dress box. Look at that. All of those pieces for $1. Now, these are 1.5 inches, where the others are 2 inches. And so I'm using the 2-inch grid on here, and I'm hoping that this all works out. I have a sneaking suspicion that these belong to Mrs. Kennedy. Maybe I'm just hoping, I don't know. But I found them about the time that she had passed away, not too long thereafter. And I remember seeing that she had things in boxes like this on her porch. So if they are Mrs. Kennedy's, thank you, Mrs. Kennedy from heaven. I know you're a sweetheart there. I loved her so much. I only met her once, and she said, honey, at night, me and the Lord, we have the best conversations. I sit and I quilt and I tell him all my worries, and the next morning I get up and I feel so much better. So some good advice from Mrs. Kennedy. Whenever I get this quilt finished, I will show it on YouTube. Thank you for watching.